Well, I lied to you guys. Instead of recutting these bolts shorter, because I'd already glued this wooden plate and the one underneath in, I hadn't glued the back one at that time. I said I was going to cut the bolts with this. Instead, I cinched the bolts down to where I wanted them with the tops sticking up, and took apart the back, glued it, cinched the bolts up back there to the point I wanted them cinched up, and then I took my Dremel tool and a cut-off tool and cut the tops off the protruding bolts sticking up out of these top plates. You can see where some of the sparks actually burnt the foam in places before I realized I was doing it. And in the back there's a little burnt place there. But now all those 8 screws and the center pivot point of the front gear are all below the surface of this wood, and in the back they're all 4 below the surface of the wood. I had to take it upstairs in the kitchen sink and spray it out with hot water to get all the little bits and pieces of metal out of it. So I'm going to let it dry for a while. Then this battery plate will be glued in on top of this wooden plate and the wooden plate in the back. That gives it a little bit of standoff from the bottom for the battery straps to slide around in this area. And there are no protruding screws or anything from the landing gear sticking up in this battery plate to cut my batteries and stuff. While I was doing some other things today, I went ahead and glued in the motor mount. It's ready for the motor to be screwed in, and then, like I say, the ESC, everything can slide right in that hole, and then it'll be, ESC will be fixed down back in this area someplace. The equipment tray could slide in the front right now, and that sort of finishes up, except for the hatch part, that sort of finishes up the fuselage. Well, I guess also mounting the GPS up here. So there's not a whole lot left to do on this creature before I'll have a second SkyHunter in the air. See what I mean? My Dremel tool wouldn't go down in the opening in the back to let me cut off those bolts back there. Like I say, I had to put this small extension on it. This I had to find. It took me a half hour to get this attachment on my Dremel tool before I could even cut those bolts off, but that's how I did it. I think that's the first time in 15 years of having this Dremel that I've used this attachment. But boy, it sure came in handy today. So there's that job done. Next is we're going to get that battery tray in there. Well, I cut back a little bit from the center of this board on each side so the battery straps could slide. They weren't sliding real well the way it was. They were kind of pinching in the sides here. I've got them marked for right here, from my thumb to the rear side is to be glued. From right here to the front side is to be glued, and glue placed on these 2 wooden plates in here, and then press them together, and that will be it. I didn't really have battery straps long enough. This is the longest I had. I'm going to have to extend these with another strap. Man. I'm going to put 2 pads of Uma Grip battery pad. Well, you can't see it, can you? Yeah, neither one of them. Uma Grip. About right there. They're not touching. Just trying to arrange them where batteries might be. So I'll stick those down. There's my beginning battery straps, the biggest I have. And then I'll apply the contact cement to this side, to the other side, front and back. Apply the contact cement there, and we will stick the two of them together. And again, I'm talking about this contact cement. And this time I will let both surfaces dry before I put them together. And with this stuff, man, let me tell you, once you touch them after they're dried a half hour or so, you're not going to move them. That's the end of that. Okay, starting out Tuesday morning, I have brushed that wooden plate with contact cement. I have brushed that wooden plate with contact cement. The wood doesn't go all the way out in the front, so I just did the center of the front, but the whole back does. Now I'm going to set a timer for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, I'll check them to see if they're dryish, and then I'll touch the two together and they will be forever bonded. The weld wood is pretty good stuff. I had to put a brick in the thing back there on the back to hold the back of the battery tray, battery, whatever you want to call it, piece of plywood. The front went down, locked down just perfect. The back did not. This tray is so warped, which is frequently the case for this really thin plywood, not unusual, that the back left just wanted to twist up. But like I say, the front did exactly what it's supposed to do. Just lock right down. And no, it's not gently floating in the air. I've got a box underneath it, so the weight of the brick is not on the landing gear itself. It's on the center section, right where it needs to be, so the stuff can dry. But it looks like it's working, which is what I need. I did glue on the motor mount yesterday, so this morning I was able to put the motor on. The prop 13.7, I think that is. Don't remember what the pitch is on it. Got a piece of double-sided tape on the ESC, ready to tape it down right about where that brick is, and that sets up. Continuing to keep an eye on this. The front just is where, like I say, the front is just where it needs to be. The back didn't want to cooperate. So I've got the compass to do. I've got 2 plastic plates to put in for the mounting of the wing. And I took the airspeed sensor out. It got in the way doing some other things. It was really easy to get out. And I'm going to fill the holes I made and probably put it in again. So, but that's about all for the fuselage part. Got a video transmitter to put in one wing and a servo and some carbon fiber rods. Same thing in the other wing, plus a RC receiver in that wing. And I have to put the tail together. But the fuselage is almost finished. Boy, that is a big boy. Big boy, big prop, big motor. That's why I wanted to do the landing gear. It does look pretty good at this point. Probably shouldn't brag on my own stuff. So I guess we should talk about what I'm doing here. So probably should have done this earlier. This is the Sonic model site where this airplane kit comes from, and I'm just using the information here. I mean, it's old too, but I've always loved this particular airplane. The other one I built was built like this,
I think it's got a 12/8 prop on it, not a 13. So this one I decided to build this way. Why not? Crazy configuration. So it's going to be a 6S. That's why I'm also got a 6S on the Chimera Pro 7-inch quad. I'll be using 5 servos instead of 3, but that's okay. You saw me. I have a 60 amp ESC for it. I really did want the 14 or 15 inch prop. You know, bigger, more power. That's what always Tim said. And this is where the landing gear required, plus the other ones and even the mini talons before I flew through them for the first time. I was really kind of wary of the prop on the back. Not really scared, kind of like I am with electricity and electronics for 50 years. Respectful. I know what it can do in a heartbeat, but I'm not scared of it. That makes me skittish around it. That can be dangerous. So a healthy respect and understanding of what could go on with those pusher props. The mini talons are nothing for me anymore. I think all my rear prop, well, the other SkyHunter I haven't thrown yet, so it still does make me respect it. So yeah, that's why we were going to go with landing gear on this one, because I did want to use a 15-inch prop. Went looking around for motors. Boy, looked for a year. I couldn't find any 400 kV. Figured that went with a 15-inch prop, and the 600 kV went with a 14-inch. And if they made a 14.5-inch prop, that'd probably be in the middle for 500 kV, right? Anyway, so I looked and looked and looked. The only thing I was able to do, the best I was able to do, I wanted the lowest kV as possible for the most torque for the biggest prop. The best thing I could find was this Sunny Sky. And I bought it in the short shaft instead of the long shaft, 500 kV. They don't show the short shaft here. So when I do motors, I'm kind of like with ESCs. The manufacturer's data sheet is the most important thing at the time that I'm looking at motors. So I came over here to the information, ran down this real quick. This is just a bunch of salesman hype. This is what comes with the kit. No, that's not the short shaft. The short shaft just doesn't have this shaft on it at all. When I came up here and clicked in and found the data sheet, started looking down it, liked everything I saw. Wasn't 400, 500, close as I could get. Got down into this part of the manufacturer's data sheet, and it says recommended propellers. APC 12.8. Yikes. That's what I got on the other SkyHunter. That's not an increase. Wouldn't have had to go through all this junk with landing gear. Or a 13.7 or 12.65, which would be a smaller pitch than the other SkyHunter. So I said, let's look at the 13.7. So this is for a 6S voltage here for that prop. This is the 12.65 prop. This is the 12.8 prop. So we're up here in the 13.7. So I looked at this information and I settled on the not settled. It's what I found. The best I found was this 500 kV with a recommended prop size of 13.7, which wasn't even going to get me up to the 14 or 15 that I thought I was going to get over here. But, I'm not going to go against this because I want this amperage to be fairly accurate. I want the thrust and RPM, everything, efficiency. I want this information to be fairly accurate. This information will not be accurate if I don't go with this prop. So, it seems that Sunny Sky also sells that prop. Matches that motor precisely. So I ordered 4 13.7 props with the motor. I got the motor and the props from Sunny Sky. The hub doesn't even need a spacer in it for the correct size. It's just a solid piece, single piece. So that's where, this doesn't give you a lot of information on how to build this kit. Neither does this. It's just a general guidelines. I basically went with this. I'm going to put 10,000 milliamp hours of lithium ion batteries in it. But I didn't do these lower. But other than that, I pretty much followed this information from the Sonic model site. And of course the videos, this video talks about moving the tails around. And the gentleman on my channel, a viewer on my channel, is also talking about that. I got the other SkyHunter set with this edge. I guess this is a good time to talk about this. Haven't told him yet. On the back edge of the tubes. And the battery easily moves around a little bit in here to get a CG that way. With 3 servos in the tail of SkyHunter II, that extra weight, actually after this plane gets flying with this tail, the further back this tail is, the more fulcrum that servo weight will have to act out. But then there's a secondary thing going on, that this horizontal stabilizer, actually the further back this horizontal stabilizer gets, the more it compensates for that weight in flight over the stall speed. It just makes that weight seem a little bit less. Might have to have a little down elevator, or not as much up to hold that tail up, but don't know. I haven't moved these around like this to control the CG, because the only one I've ever had in my hand, the battery placement in here was just super easy to get the CG with this all the way back. And my thinking was, the further back it is, the better this plane flies. Now I've watched, I think this is Andrews. Yeah. I've watched almost everything he has posted video. If he posted a video about paint drying, I probably watched it. There's lots of people I've watched for years. And the other SkyHunter, by the way, does have a folding prop on it, but this one doesn't. So I thought I would interject this into this build. Probably should have said something about it earlier and stuff. But this is basically what I'm following with the SkyHunter. And build videos here and there, and there's enough build videos on SkyHunters, except for on landing gear. I gotta go find that other. I'll try to do that right now. I'll try to go find that other landing gear video that gave me an idea of what to do. If I can. I only ever found one, and I can't find it again. But I'll make another attempt right now. Well, I can't find it. I'll look more, and if I find it, I will publish it. I can find this. This is the 3D printed. This is just taking an axle straight across some little parts underneath, and this is a 3D printed nose wheel. Not very far unlike this. This is a purchased gear in the back, but a 3D printed nose wheel too. I saw those. I don't like those. That's too close to the ground to give me, if I was going to use a 15-inch prop, I was going to be well below the belly of that fuselage. So I did see these. There are still other videos around showing landing gear on a SkyHunter. This one's taxiing. This one shows a taxi test, etc., etc. But there's nothing showing how the people did it, how they put it on their craft. He's got EDF motors here instead of a motor on the back of his SkyHunter with landing gear. He doesn't say a single word. This sort of looks like mine, but if you go and look at it, it doesn't show a single thing about how he did this. Oh, that's just more of the same. There's another one. Yeah, you can find people using landing gear. Some of them built little carts that the airplane sits on when it takes off and leaves behind on takeoff. You see lots of stuff like this right here, but there's nobody showing. I did this, I glued this here, I bought this. Just really was kind of frustrating for me. And this was another one. This was retracts. I did see this one, but God, this is a retractable gear. These actually in the back, they stick out on each side of the fuselage, and then they just retract up beside the fuselage. Nose gear's the only one that actually goes somewhat into the fuselage. I guess that would be better than getting cut by the prop trying to hand launch it, but I kind of passed on that one. And like I say, I looked for a long time. Oh, I liked this one with skids on it for snow. We don't get that much snow around here anymore, though. It's the only problem there. All right, I'm going to go check the SkyHunter again. The flight controller for the Chimera 7-inch is out for delivery today. So all I've got left on that is the VTX. It's supposed to be here Friday, and I think the antenna for it's supposed to be here next Tuesday, a week from now, or next Friday, like 10 or 12 days from now. And I think I have a Crossfire Nano Pro in a drawer behind me. That's why I haven't ordered another one of those. I'm going to go see what length this video is. I'm trying to cut them off between 15 and 20 minutes now, if I can. And again, if I ever run across that, because he was showing a carbon fiber rod like I did on mine, but he did put a wooden plate top and bottom the full length of that rod, if I remember correctly. I did not do that. I did not screw the back carbon fiber rod into the rear landing gear. I thought those plates, being 3 inches square or so, hopefully would be enough to stabilize it. We'll see. Yeah, I think this video is quite long enough. I'll start a next one for tomorrow. Thank you, guys.